US President Donald Trump has described the shooting as an act of pure evil. He's offered his condolences to the victims and thanked emergency services for their rapid response.
My fellow Americans, we are joined together today in sadness, shock, and grief. Last night, a gunman opened fire on a large crowd at a country music concert in Las Vegas, Nevada. He brutally murdered more than 50 people and wounded hundreds more. It was an act of pure evil. The FBI and the Department of Homeland Security are working closely with local authorities to assist with the investigation, and they will provide updates as to the investigation and how it develops. I want to thank the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department and all of the first responders for their courageous efforts and for helping to save the lives of so many. The speed with which they acted is miraculous and prevented further loss of life. To have found the shooter so quickly after the first shots were fired is something for which we will always be thankful and grateful. It shows what true professionalism is all about. Hundreds of our fellow citizens are now mourning the sudden loss of a loved one, a parent, a child, a brother or sister. We cannot fathom their pain. We cannot imagine their loss. To the families of the victims, we are praying for you, and we are here for you. And we ask God to help see you through this very dark period.
Terrible scenes there out of Las Vegas. Let's get you more perspective on these sort of incidents in the United States. I'm joined live on the line from San Diego by Sean Van Diver. He is the director of the San Diego chapter of the Truman National Security Project. Sean, what's the definition of a terrorist attack, and does that definition apply here?
So the difference between terrorism and crime is that crime is generally motivated by money. Terrorism is motivated by ideology, or the idea that we should scare people to affect some sort of outcome. And I would absolutely say that it applies here. This guy wasn't trying to make any money. This guy was trying to kill a whole bunch of people, and he succeeded. And he was able to succeed, no doubt, due to lax gun laws in our nation here. And it's depending on what state you're in, you can procure an automatic weapon. You can procure magazines that exceed 10. And if you listen to the videos that have been playing, he fired continuously every time, and then he paused. He paused, and it took him a minute, or it took him 20, 30 seconds to reload. Imagine if he had to pause every 10 rounds. Imagine if he had to fire individually. The loss of life would be so much less.
Why has the United States been so reluctant to call white attackers terrorists in the past?
I think it depends on which administration is in power. I think it depends on the perception of folks, and I think it's wrong. I think that we need to recognize that lone wolf white terrorists are the #1 threat to our country. ISIS isn't coming over here and attacking us. That's just not a thing that's happening here. What is happening is disenfranchised people. It's young folks or older folks in this case who maybe have some mental health issues, or maybe are just bad people, and that combined with the easy access to firearms, is why we have such a big problem here. And then you juxtapose that with the absolute reluctance, absolute refusal from groups like the NRA and the politicians that they've paid for to admit that we have a problem here, and to address that problem in a humanitarian way. This is disgusting. It's absolutely unacceptable, and here in America, we shouldn't have to live like we're in a war zone.
ISIL is claiming responsibility for the attack, but they're not providing any evidence. Do you think they're being opportunistic, or could this actually be an ISIL attack?
Well, who's to say? I bet they're opportunistic. I bet they're trying to claim responsibility for this on the off chance that there's no note or no manifesto or no anything like that. But maybe he was radicalized. Maybe he was radicalized in the last 3 months, and he was convinced that it was a good idea for them to do that. But that doesn't mean that his intentions were any different. I mean, I think whether or not he was ISIS, he was domestic. He was an American citizen living in America, living in Vegas or just outside of Vegas, that took it upon himself to go and kill his fellow Americans.
Sean Van Diver joining us on the line from San Diego.